Seth Dealer, and you're watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
This is the mechanic Big Beasley, and you are listening to Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
This is Rory Fox, your Central Empire Wrestling Champion, and you're watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
This is Gavin Parker, and you're listening to Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
What's up, everybody? It's Leon King here, of course, the baddest of the baddest, and you are now listening to Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
I am Eric S. Knight.
And I'm Malik Champion.
And we are the chosen prodigal sons, and this is the Shotgun Wrestling Radio podcast.
This is your Deathmatch Daddy Bo guy, and you're watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
Hey everybody, this is Brock Anderson, and you are watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
This is Augustus Draven, and you're watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
This is the Feline Phenom, JT Energy, and you're experiencing Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
Welcome everybody to another edition of Shotgun Wrestling Radio. I'm your host, Zach Takis. Been a busy week here for the program. Big thanks to James Jeffries for joining me on the program earlier this week. Trent Hammer for joining me again. Their big show, Absolute Pro Wrestling, coming up this Saturday in Waterloo, Iowa. It's going to be great. And, you know, you can't think of Waterloo, Iowa without thinking about this next event that I'm getting ready to talk about as well. And it's, you know, it's synonymous with wrestling in Waterloo. And, of course, we're talking about the Hall of Fame weekend. You may be looking at your calendar saying, well, Zach, it's only January. Yeah, but we have stuff to talk about tonight, and with that, I'm bringing in somebody who's very close to the museum. He's on the board of the Hall of Fame, of the Hall of Fame weekend, and kind of helps get everything set up for the weekend. So all the behind-the-scenes stuff, this man has a big hand in dealing with. And I'm going to welcome in right now my guest, Mr. Chad Olson. Chad, how you doing, my friend?
I am doing great, Zach. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. You know, it's been fun winter. Hasn't been too bad here. It's little cold and snowy this week, but that's all right. I mean, like I said, I messaged you earlier this week kind of saying, hey, if you guys ever want to do anything, kind of start hyping up Hall of Fame weekend, you know I'm down to always talk Hall of Fame weekend. It doesn't matter what time of year it has to be for me to talk Hall of Fame weekend.
Well, as cold as it's been, I think it's good and positive to think about July and the warmth and the fun we'll be having in Waterloo this year. So thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. Yeah,
indeed, man. Indeed. Let's go ahead. And for those who haven't seen it yet, I'm going to go ahead and run down what we had announced so far. And then Chad has an exclusive announcement of what's to come yet for the weekend. It's a big weekend already, and it's just going to get bigger. Our George Tragos Lou Thez Award winner this year is MMA star Tank Abbott. I'm sure a lot of you remember Tank Abbott from back in the day. I think, if I remember right, he had a stint in WCW at one point, didn't he?
Yeah, yep. After he got done in mixed martial arts, towards kind of the end of WCW there in that 99-2000 range, he was involved in some kind of unique stuff. So I'm excited to meet him. He's really excited to be coming. Jerry Briscoe, talked to him, but we have been emailing with him, and we're really excited to have Tank Abbott. And I, couldn't think of a better person who blended MMA and transitioned it into a pro wrestling career.
Yep. And, speaking of Jerry, I'm going to give a special shout out to Jerry's Twitter page right now. Because have you seen the stuff that he's been posting, Chad? He's calling it, I think, Shed Finds or Shed Museum?
Shed Treasures, I think.
Yes. And I'm like, he is finding some gems as he is going through the shed, just old, kind of memorabilia from his time. And I'm just like, as a fan, it's fun to watch what he's pulling out of his memorabilia.
Yeah, Jerry and I need to have a chat about maybe bringing some of those treasures to Waterloo and putting them on the silent auction. So I'll work on that.
That's what me and my buddy Bryant have been kind of messaging him too as he's been posting this. We're like, you need to bring some of this to Waterloo, especially some of those like trading cards that I know he had. I'm like, people would bid on those things like crazy. So yeah, that would be, hopefully we're able to get Jerry to bring some of those up here because he's been finding some really cool gems. So if you're interested, head over to Jerry Briscoe's Facebook, or not Facebook page, his Twitter/X account, and you'll see some really cool stuff. He's been kind of posting daily over there too. So
I also think it'd be great if he brought those. He showed off the old Florida and Florida Tag Team Championship. Just bring those to display for the weekend. We don't expect you to
Yeah.
auction those off.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Just another piece of wrestling history right there. Another announcement that we had: the Hall of Fame inductee, Mr. Jake Hager, formerly known as Jack Swagger in the WWF, and
Yep.
again,
Yep.
obviously known as Jake Hager in AEW. Big time collegiate background, and then obviously
Mhm.
synonymous with pro wrestling here the last several years.
Yeah, I mean, I've had ISU season tickets for wrestling for probably close to 20 years now, and I remember watching him compete against Iowa State wrestlers, back in when he was in college. So I've always followed his career with kind of a special interest because, I did actually see him wrestle amateur first. So very, very deserving inductee.
This next one, I think, I bring a lot of attention, a lot of viewers, or a lot of people too. I've met him just one other time, surprisingly, but I'm super excited that he's going to be making his way to Waterloo. Our Frank Gotch Award winner this year, Mr. Ron Simmons. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who's had such a long-standing career in wrestling. I know a lot of folks like myself, we weren't, at least me, I wasn't familiar with his early WCW era stuff. And
Mhm.
it's been fun as kind of the more that stuff's been made available to actually go back and watch it and just see how dominant he really was as a singles competitor. And then obviously we know what he did in the tag team scene with John Bradshaw Layfield, who John's
Mhm.
become quite a big part of Hall of Fame weekend now too, which I think has added a really great element.
Yeah, now you're making me feel old, Zach, because I absolutely remember Ron's run as a singles wrestler as I was maybe a teenager in college. But yeah, it's an honor to have him. He's in a lot of Hall of Fames. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame because he had quite a distinguished, college football career. Um, but as we had a board meeting actually last night, and JBL said he's very excited and very honored to come. Jerry and JBL were with him at a fan convention. It might have been the gathering back in November, and he's really excited to be coming. And yeah, how it's been so awesome to have JBL involved the past few years, and now he's on our board helping us plan. And he was pitching some fantastic ideas last night, and I think. I don't know if we can get all of them scheduled for this year, but maybe one involving him and Ron Simmons might be pretty cool.
Nice.
So hopefully we can kind of get that solidified here, maybe in the next month or so, and let people know how they can partake of that.
Well, one thing that I've learned about JBL probably over the last year or so, he's an incredible storyteller, with his podcast
Yes.
with Jerry Briscoe, and then he's been filling in lately on the Something to Wrestle podcast with Conrad Thompson. That dude is just a fantastic storyteller.
He is, and he's so much into the history of wrestling, and maybe it's the case of judging a book by its cover, where you wouldn't think somebody who is just, as punishing and as brawling and as high impact as he would be a historian too. But I was listening to his recent podcast with Steve Johnson, who's written the book about Jim Londos. And the amount of knowledge that JBL, and he actually wrote the foreword for the Jim Londos book, was incredible. And Steve's coming to Waterloo. We have a great bank of historians coming to Waterloo, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I think he'll have that Jim Londos book available for sale, hopefully. But yeah, having JBL involved is just fantastic.
Yeah, again, just a guy that loves wrestling that much, and I think it's been fun too, just see him just kind of popping up randomly out of all these
Mhm.
places. He was in TNA over the weekend. He showed up in GCW. He was on Monday Night Raw here last week, and yeah, it's just been fun to watch. It seems like he's having a blast right now, so that's just really fun to see. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
continuing down our road of award winners that we have so far. This year's Jim Melby Award winner is Tim Hornbaker. This one, man, I'm really excited for because I read his book, Death of the Territories, a couple years
Hmm.
back.
Hmm.
Excellent book. I
Yes.
could not put that down. That was a really, really great read.
Yeah, Tim's written he's written a biography of Ric Flair. He's written one about Buddy Rogers, which is just incredible. And then he had his kind of three-book series starting with the history of the NWA and then the history of Capital Wrestling, which became Titan Sports and WWF, and then the Death of the Territories books. And I mean, especially starting with that NWA book, it's like a textbook. If you want to learn about wrestling history, read that book. And you know, the Death of Territories are all, and the Capital Wrestling, they're fantastic. The Buddy Rogers one is another one that's like a textbook. There's so much annotations in there and just notes about the process. Very deserving winner of the Jim Melby.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of. I think it'll be very exciting once fans kind of realize, oh, hey, he wrote that book, because I know the Death
Yeah.
of the Territories one is a really popular book amongst wrestling fans who enjoy reading wrestling biographies. I mean, I'm a big memoir slash biography person, and I'm actually currently
Hmm.
reading David Penzer's autobiography right now. That's the
Oh,
one
okay.
I'm diving into right now that I've really been enjoying so far. So this one, I think, man, the next award winner. I think it's going to bring in a lot of people, especially a lot of those old school AWA fans. We got the Gordon
Hmm.
Soley Award winner, Mr. David Crockett. That's a big get for the Hall of Fame weekend.
Yeah, and it sounds like Gloria Lovell, helps is on the board and helps plan the event too. She's been doing outreach to some of our attendees to coordinate their travel arrangements. Sounds like he's bringing quite a contingent with half a dozen, 8 people or so. So that's awesome. We we love to have all the people there. It's really cool when you can have somebody and they bring their spouse and their family and they all, partake of the event and just learn how much fun we have in Waterloo, Iowa.
And that's, I think, the best part about this weekend. A lot of these people probably just come thinking, oh, this is just another Hall of Fame. And then they kind of finally get here and they realize just how tight knit everybody is and how laid back the weekend is and just how much
Mhm.
fun everybody has. Nobody really feels like you're over the top, like crazy wrestling fan. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know what I mean. Everybody's just very
Mhm.
relaxed. Everybody's very cool, calm, and collected. And it's just a very laid back weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I liken it, especially the past few years. To me, it's become like a family reunion, and our wrestling family, our TNT Hall of Fame family from all across the country, and even Canada, and we've had folks attend from Japan. They all come together. They descend upon Waterloo, Iowa, and we're going to celebrate wrestling and wrestling history and have some fun. But I think the things that makes our event stand out, and it's no disrespect to any other event, is that it's just so personal and there's so much access. We're staying in the same hotel as the award winners, so you're going to ride right up and down the elevator with JBL or with Ron Simmons. I mean, one of my first times after it moved from Newton to Waterloo, we get on the elevator and looking out the back of the elevator, so his back is to us, it's Roddy Piper. And I mean, he's one of my favorite wrestlers, and we did, it was hard not to wig out, but it's like, oh, Mr. Piper, congratulations.
Yep.
Like, oh, thank you, so everybody's very cool. It's a pretty a good atmosphere, and it's just I feel like it's unique amongst other wrestling events I've attended.
Yeah, the sharing the elevators is probably one of the coolest moments you'll ever see. Because, like you said, you can walk into an elevator, you're like,
Yep.
you're so like I remember a few years back. I think it was I want to say 2018, 2019. Magnum TA
Hmm.
ended up getting in the
Yeah.
same elevator as me. I'm like, that's Magnum TA right there. It was
Hmm.
kind of like you're Roddy Piper. I'm like, it was just kind of one of those,
Yeah.
yeah, awestruck moments. But again, at the same time, everybody was just very laid back and going about our business, and yeah, just
Yep.
very exciting. So, and now for the Vern Gagne Training Award winner, we have Ron Hutchinson, who announced, I believe last week or the week before on
Hmm.
the Briscoe and JBL podcast that Adam Copeland is coming to induct him. And reason being is because Ron had a big hand in training people like Edge, Christian, Trish Stratus, Simbodi, Gail Kim, and Tiger Ali Singh. So, Ron has quite the lineage here of who's who as far as training in professional wrestling.
Yeah, I'm very excited that we get to honor Ron because he has trained so many, of contemporary stars. And he's been affiliated with the CAC for quite a few years. I don't know if he is anymore, but I've met him out there a few times in Vegas at the CAC, Cauliflower Alley Convention, sorry. And he's a great guy. He's fantastic. And he's also a great storyteller too, just kind of sitting back on the fly on the wall and hearing him and Jerry and JBL talk on the Briscoe and Bradshaw podcast was a great moment. And I mean, yeah, how exciting that, he's bringing, his plus one to induct him is Edge, Adam Copeland. I mean, that's fantastic. Edge was here. Oh boy, the years kind of blur to me, Zach. But
I feel like 2017 is when I feel
yeah,
like he was here, because I know he was still
yeah,
with WWE.
yes, he was, and we honored him. And I mean, he signed so many autographs as he should, because he's a huge star, and he's still a huge star. And he was so giving of his time, and just so wonderful to be around. So we're excited to have both of them coming, but definitely to honor Ron with the Vern Gagne Training Award, which is one of our newer awards.
Yeah. And I think that's a great work, because again, there are so many legendary trainers out there. They definitely deserve their flowers as well. So it's again just another great addition to an already stacked Hall of Fame class that we get every year, every July in Waterloo, Iowa, there at the Hall of Fame. So we're gonna talk about one event that's been announced so far, then I'll let you get into the exclusive. I know we're kind of teasing people here, but that's kind of the point.
Gotta make them wait. Right?
Yes, we gotta build anticipation. It has been announced that historian, podcaster, wrestler, promoter, Mr. Bo James will be leading a discussion on the history of wrestling in East Tennessee. So that's pretty exciting, because if you know anything about, in that territory, Tennessee was a pretty big territory back in the day in terms of professional wrestling.
Yeah, Bo came out to our event for the first time last year and absolutely loved it. He's told me that, if I brought a cot down into the basement, he would just stay in the basement of the museum and look at all the artifacts down there. And he does a podcast now called Outlaws to Independence, kind of talking about the history of some of these promotions, before indie wrestling was around for many, many years, but it seems like it kind of became popular and a thing in the 90s. But before that, they were just called Outlaws, right? Because they weren't affiliated with the NWA. And his storytelling is amazing. And, I don't want to spoil anything yet, but a couple of things he's talked about that he's bringing are super interesting. He's going to bring some really cool artifacts. And then one other thing that I haven't announced on Facebook, but if you listen to the Charting the Territories podcast with Al Gett, who won our Melby Award last year.
Great podcast.
Yes. He just recently announced, and I was on his podcast as a trivia master to help officiate a trivia challenge. Al is also going to do a roundtable discussion. We're still working on the details, but we have some kind of fun things figured out. So those discussions, those roundtable discussions are always very popular, and we'll continue to have some good ones of those this year as well. But I suppose, people want to hear about our surprise, I guess, or I'm sorry, Zach, did you have something else?
I was gonna give one more tease for Al. I believe Al is coming out with maybe one or two more books this year, is what I thought he said. So he came out with another one towards the end of last year, and he will have his books available. So if you're interested, I mean, they will be available at the Hall of Fame weekend. So
yes, thank you. Yeah, he came out with a book right around the holidays, maybe Thanksgiving, about Jim Crockett Promotions, and it is amazing. And if you've had any of his books before and not got this one yet, I mean, it's like twice the size. It is cool. So hey, you could have David Crockett autograph your Jim Crockett Promotions book when you're there. But yeah, I believe Al, one of his books will be about the Central States region, which of course is near and dear to folks' hearts around here. And he's already done two about them, and they're amazing. And I believe that one is supposed to be available the Hall of Fame weekend. And then his second book he shared was about the Leroy McGurk kind of tri-state region, which he's already done one book about. And we're very blessed to have so many historians actively involved. I know Bo's written a couple books, and he's trying to finish another one in time for the Hall of Fame. So don't bring your money just for autographs. If you're a historian, if you like reading about the history, you gotta bring a lot of money and trunk space for books. So that's the other thing I love about this, because when I used to go out to the CAC in Vegas, I could only buy so many books. Now, I'm just an hour and a half out of Waterloo, so I got to load my trunk up and take them in the house so my wife doesn't see it.
Well, all right, man. We've let people wait long enough. Again, you came to me and you said you had an exclusive announcement that you wanted to give us here on Shotgun Wrestling Radio for Hall of Fame weekend. So I'm going to go ahead, man, and without further ado, what do you got for us here?
Well, I just, Zach, you've always been such a great supporter of our weekend. We really appreciate that. So, when you reached out about an interview, I'm like, let's do something unique and special on here. So this is, the world television or a podcast, I should say, premiere. I was thinking back to MTV when I was a kid, and they used to actually show music videos. I don't know if
I remember those back in the day.
Okay. So before we put this on Facebook, we'll announce it here, and then we'll hopefully have a video within the next couple days. But receiving the Jack Briscoe Spotlight Award this year is one Mr. Eric Bischoff.
Nice. There we go. That's super cool.
Yeah, and the Jack Briscoe Spotlight Award, it was obviously designed to honor Jack Briscoe, but really when we set up the award and worked with Jerry to honor his brother, we really made it kind of intentionally vague so that it could be just used to honor somebody who contributed in many different ways, but maybe didn't fall into one of the buckets that we normally have. And for all of his innovation and behind the scenes work and everything, Eric Bischoff is definitely kind of fits the mold of somebody who would fit into that flexible Jack Briscoe Spotlight Award.
As somebody who is an ad-free show member and an avid listener of 83 Weeks podcast, that gets me super excited. I'm super pumped to finally meet Eric Bischoff. Somebody you've listened to weekly since their show started. That's going to be a lot of fun. I think that's going to bring a lot of people in. And it's like Eric is no stranger to Iowa or the Midwest, because how many times would he bring WCW to Cedar Rapids or Des Moines over the years? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I always joked with people growing up, like, I was probably more of a WWF kid, but I saw more WCW because Eric brought WCW to Cedar Rapids. So it's like I enjoyed both, but I was always more WWF, but at the same time, I still kept up with WCW because Eric loved bringing them here.
It's funny you mentioned Cedar Rapids, Zach. I know we're on a bit of a time crunch, but I just want to share a story. Last year, I had the honor of picking up Arn Anderson and his family from the airport and shuttling them to Waterloo and took them back. And when we went by is it the Alliant Energy Center now? What's it called in Cedar Rapids?
Yep.
Okay. When I was a kid, it was the Five Seasons Center, so I always want to call it that. And I still call Sec Taylor Stadium. I'm bad with that stuff. But when we were driving by there, Arn, looked out the window and he goes, "Oh, I remember this town. We wrestled here a few times with WCW because there's the bakery across the interstate." And he goes, he's like, "Isn't that arena? It's attached to the hotel by a skywalk." I said, "Well, yeah, they're kind of built right in." And I mean, it was amazing. You think of all the places that Arn Anderson has been to, and he still remembers some of the nuances about Cedar Rapids and the arena, and there's a bakery across the interstate. So I think that was pretty cool. So, but yeah, it's very cool that Eric, I mean, obviously he's a Minnesota guy originally, but he still hopefully holds the Midwest kind of special, and we're excited to have him in Waterloo.
And the neat thing about Eric too is he doesn't really like if you listen to him, he doesn't really like traveling away from his home very often. And I don't blame him.
Right.
When you have a ranch right outside Yellowstone National Park, I probably wouldn't want to leave very often either.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think there's a lot of direct flights from Yellowstone to Waterloo, so it took that golden tongue of Jerry Briscoe to help get that negotiated.
But when you get a phone call from a guy like Jerry Briscoe, how often are you going to turn something like that down? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's kind of a cool thing. So another thing too, I want to kind of talk to you about here again. Eric Bischoff coming to Waterloo, super exciting. You're also very big involved with the Legends of Wrestling card game. Um,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
I had the chance to actually play it for the first time last year. I had an absolute blast. So if you guys are
Good.
wanting to learn about this game, I highly recommend sitting down and playing a game or two when you're at the museum. Because once you really play like for one game, you kind of pick up on it pretty quick. It was really fun. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been, I've started playing the game back in 1986 when I was like 14 years old, and now I help kind of stat the cards for the Legends of Wrestling card game. And we've been again, because of Jerry Briscoe, we've been able to partner with a lot of the honorees, and we've have some special sets that are, Tragos Thez Hall of Fame sets. But then, we have so many other wrestlers who aren't in the Hall of Fame that we've been able to, meet through all sorts of means. So, I mean, we have just with the Legends series, we probably have over 200 wrestlers. And then we have an entire Indies line, which is amazing. And, we have guys in there as well. And we have cards for guys before they became stars, like Seth Rollins when he was Tyler Black.
Yep.
I remember going to a 3XW show and getting my card
Yep.
autographed by him. And there's been wrestlers who actually played, like Brian Danielson played the game when he was a kid,
Wow.
and so did Wolfie D from PG-13. So it's just amazing. It's a fun game. We'll of course have another Legends of Wrestling tournament. We'll have the cards on sale from Phil Singer Games. If you want to check that out, that is on philsingergames.com. But yeah, we're definitely doing another set for that this year, featuring either prior honorees or maybe we'll get a few of this year's honorees in there as well.
Now, for all access, we got a few more minutes here for all access
Yep.
passes and where people might want to purchase them. Where can they go to purchase them, and how much are the all access passes?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Zach. All access passes are currently $125. On February 1st, they're going to go up to $140. So I'm going to do some posting on the Facebook over the next few days to really kind of hit people over the head. Hey, if you want to get that and save $15, go, go to it's probably easiest to go through our Facebook page and find
There's
it
a
that way.
direct
So if
link
you go,
on the Facebook page. Yep.
yeah, if you just look for George Tragos Luthez Hall of Fame on Facebook, then we do have links there to how you can go out and get the tickets, and they're $125 right now. They go up to 140 on February 1st, and what that 125 gets you, it gets you into the Thursday night social event, and we have pizza and beverages and everything there, and that's become a really cool way to kick off the weekend at that social. It gets you into the trivia contest where you might be on a trivia team with Jerry Briscoe or JBL or James Beard, who's another one of our board members awesome. And sometimes you might have to have the unenviable task of telling him, I'm sorry, Jerry, that's the wrong answer. But it's a cool way to just hang out and kick off the weekend. That'll be Thursday night. Then Friday, gets you into any of the events, the museum. The all access pass covers your entry fee into the banquet, and the wrestling show on Saturday night. We're getting ready. We've been working on some stuff. We'll start announcing, some of the people who will be appearing for that, and continue to have that big wrestling show tradition. But like I said, it gets you into the banquet with your meal there, so it gets you into quite a lot of events. You get a couple meals out of it, and I mean, you just get to have access to a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a fantastic weekend, and if you guys are looking for that link, click the description in the video link on our YouTube here, on our YouTube link.
Thank
here.
you,
I'm gonna
Zach.
have the description. I'll have the link in the description. Click the link, and I believe there's also some hotel deals going on with the hotel that's right across from the convention
Yeah.
center too. Am I right?
Yeah, the Best Western Plus, we do have a rate for our for our fans. That's a little cheaper than the normal rate. And the nice thing, what I always tell everybody is that, and I'm not the first person who said this, you could park your car at the ramp at the Best Western Plus
Yep.
and never have to move your car again for the whole weekend.
Awesome. I love it.
The convention centers across the street, the museum's a couple blocks further. So, I mean, I think we pack more fun per square inch in that whole 4 block than anywhere else on the planet.
And there's great food options within walking
Oh my
distance
gosh.
too. There's that
Yeah.
little breakfast joint that used to be the Subway. I ate there last year. There's that
That was
Chinese
fantastic.
place that's down the block that I always love
Yep.
going to as well. Like, yeah, if you're worried about food options, there's no shortage of great food options around the hotel.
No, and that you go further down the street from the Chinese place to the south, there's a Mexican grocery store that also has amazing food.
Okay.
There's Doughy Joey's, a great place to grab some food. There's a couple places right next to the hotel. There
Single
is
Speed
a
Brewery too, not that far
Single
away.
Speed Brewery. Oh my gosh, yeah, I usually eat there about 3 times within the first 2 days. Figure that one out. But yeah, they're a great contributor. They have the Dan Gable beer, and I don't know if you've listened to on Charting of the Territories. Sometimes pizzas just mysteriously appear in people's rooms as well. I've experienced that. John Boucher has experienced that. It's just kind of this weird Waterloo thing.
Well, Chad, our time's starting to wind down here, man. I can't thank you enough for coming on here and announcing that Eric Bischoff will be coming to Waterloo, Iowa with us. I mean, that's just going to be super exciting. I think that's going to get a lot of fans super excited. If it has you excited, click the link below and get your all access pass, because it's going to be a very fun weekend. And for more information, follow the George Thez, I'm slurring my words here a little bit, but follow them on Facebook. Follow them on Facebook. Their X/Twitter account is TNTHOF. Follow them over there as well. And again, go to Jerry Briscoe's X page and tell him to bring some of the stuff from his shed adventures to Hall of Fame weekend, because that would be incredibly cool. I think if we get enough people to push him, I think he'll do it.
If we do it in a polite but non-harassing way.
There you go. There you go. So, all right, everybody, that's going to do it for us here on this edition of Shotgun Wrestling Radio. Thank you for joining me here this week, as it's been a very busy week. And until next time, we will see you right here on the World Wide Web.